Hi. So today we are going to look at how to obtain z-scores within SPSS. And this is within the descriptive command. So we'll be looking at the descriptive command again. And we will also be looking at dealing with missing data. So what I have here is a little data set it's a piece of a data set that I had at my disposal. It's raw data. And so anytime we've just had data come in or we've just entered data into SPSS, we typically want to go through best practices, which is taking a look at the data and making sure we're not seeing anything strange. So are we seeing the correct numbers for the scale? Are we seeing, missing data where there is missing data, or are we seeing any weird numbers? And typically how we do this is by running a quick frequencies. So yet again, we're going to go into analysis. We're going to go into descriptives, and I'm going to run a frequencies. I'm going to throw my variable in there. Cheerful is its name. And all I want to see is I want to make sure that I've got the frequency tables in order to take a look at the data itself. So what do we see here? All right, so we see that we have 506 points of data and we have one missing data point. Okay, but there's a problem. Our scale is only supposed to have 1 through 5. And we've got 6 zeros written into our data set. Okay, but we don't have 0 data points. Okay, all of our scales, all of the answers should be 1 through 5. So this was something that was miskeyed. This means this is something where what we really have here is missing data, but those zeros are going to be affecting our data unless we make sure that they get coded as missing data. So how do we do that? Well, let's go back to our variable view. And the first thing I want to do is I want to find these zeros. And the fastest way to do that is much like in Excel, we actually have the ability to sort our data. So if I go to data and I scroll down to sort cases, what I can do is I can throw my variable into the sort by. I can have it sort by ascending or descending order. Click OK. Again, takes you to my output saying, hey, we did sort our data, keeping track of us like a good output file does. And lo and behold, there are our zeros. Now, you'll notice here, up in participant 1, we have just a decimal. This is the point that is being read as missing data. Now, this is an okay way to code missing data. However, it can lead to the point, it can lead to issues. So how do we actually code for missing data? Well, to do this, we need to go into variable view and we need to go to this line right here. So we've got, of course, our name of our variable, the type of our variable with decimals, what's our label. So have I filled cheerful before? The values of the variable. And then we've got missing data. So if I go ahead and click on these 3 little dots next to missing data, because right now I have nothing coded as missing data. Okay, so if we have no missing values coded, this often means the only thing it's going to detect as missing data is going to be something that's listed as a decimal point only, like that we saw in that first participant. It's really not a good way to code our missing data. We actually want to use discrete missing variables that aren't part of our data set. So we're actually going to click this discrete missing variables, and we're actually going to code all of our missing data in this file as 99s. Okay, so we go ahead and we're going to discrete missing value 99 is going to indicate any of our missing data. All right, so now that we've done that, we're going to go into our data view and we're going to change these zeros and this dot here into 99s. Now, this seems like a horrible plan, right? Because now we've got all these 99s in our file. And of course, if these 99s are being factored into our means, this is going to be an issue. So let's go ahead and run our frequencies again and see if we've solved our problem. So again, analysis, descriptives, into frequencies. Still got our same variable. And let's add our mean in there just to make sure we're not messing stuff up. And there we go. So now we have 7 missing data points, which is what we really did have. And There we are. So our 99 is being coded as missing. Now, this means that our 99s that we entered into our file are not being included in any analysis of the mean. Hence why we've got a mean of 3.32. Otherwise, our mean would be much higher than our scale. So these are some of the ways that you can test if your missing data function is working correctly, is that if you've got a wonky mean, or if it's not showing up right here. Click on a little closer, right? It's not showing up right here in this last part saying missing equals 99, and we've got 7 of them. So that's important to know. All right, so now that we've got our data cleaned up, it's time to find some z-scores for this data. All right, so how do we deal with z-scores? Let's go back to our data file. And what we do in order to obtain z-scores within SPSS is we use our descriptive function. So we're going to go to descriptive statistics and analyze descriptive statistics, go down to descriptives. We're going to move our variable over. We want to make sure to click our options. Yep, mean, standard deviation, min and maximum. That all sounds good to us. And all we have to do in order to get SPSS to calculate our z-scores is literally click this button right here. Save standardized values as variables. And what that's going to tell SPSS is that we should create a second variable that is the z-scores for our cheerful scores. So we click OK. Okay, so again, we ran descriptives, so it gave us those means like we wanted. Got our 500 data points minus our 7 missing data, right? Minimum and maximum 1 and 5, just as we needed. Our mean and our standard deviation. Now, again, one of the things before you panic, there's absolutely really no indication here in our output that we have our z-scores, but our z-scores show up within our data file. So we don't do z-scores, of course, for our missing data, but here we are with our z-scores for this data. Now, what if we were curious to make sure that our z-scores were doing the right thing, the things that they're supposed to do? Well, we can actually double check that by running the means of our z-scores. So let's move our z-score now that we've created it. We don't need to create another one, so I'll uncheck that box into our descriptive. And we're going to use this to compare our means. And lo and behold, just as we would suspect, we've got our z-scores just as good with our mean of 0 and our standard deviation of 1, just as a z-score is supposed to be. So this is how we deal with missing data and also how we can get some z-scores for our data in SPSS. We'll see you next time.